Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
You know how we just held hands and we lit the lamp? So that's a beautiful lesson for you all for your lives. Because in our lives we need light. We need light to be able to see our path, where we're going. And we need light to fill our hearts with love and with truth and with direction. And you know when the best way that light comes? When we're all connected. And when we hold hands and help each other and become one with each other. See, none of us alone could light that. It was a two-person job at least. But all together we got it all lit. And so remember that in your lives, that you can bring so much light to this world. So much beautiful light to this world. The light of you. That divine spark in you. And when you hold each other's hands, and you work together, and you become one, and you remember we are one, then that light is even stronger, and even brighter, and shines even more for even more people. And allow your awareness to pull from the outer world to the inner world. Feel that awareness. Literally unhooking from all of the sights and the sounds and the sensations in the world around you. Feel it unhooking from there. And feel that awareness pulling inward. Allow that awareness to merge with your breath. Don't try to change the breath. Don't manipulate it, but just allow the awareness to merge with that breath as it flows in and flows out. And as you inhale, and as you exhale, you can chant a very beautiful, simple mantra to yourself with the inhalation and exhalation. And that mantra is so powerful. It means I am that. I am one with the universe. I am one with the Creator, one with the creation. I am that. So as you inhale, just chant it so gently to yourself. And as you exhale, chanting hum gently to yourself. So on the inhalation, so and on the exhalation, take the breaths at your own pace. But as the awareness merges with your breath, allow that one breath to just chant gently on the inhalation and exhalation, reminding you, I am that. If the mind wanders, just gently bring it back to the breath, back to the movement, and allow yourself to fully and completely arrive here to this moment, this breath. Slowly and gently, bring the palms of your hands together at chest level and gently rub them against each other. And then press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. Slowly lower the hands and open your eyes. It's so beautiful to be back here with all of you. So beautiful to be back at Manav Seva Mandir after it's been 2 years since I've been here. But I'm especially so glad to be here in this program that's really the first that we've done on this level of focusing on younger people, focusing on people more in the modern Western world. Typically when we're here, it's much more focused on the older generation, with as much as possible in Hindi and Gujarati, and focused much more on scriptural teachings. And I'm so grateful to our beautiful board and the trustees, our Jairambai, Dayabai, Ishwarbai, Vikrambai, and all of those who have come together to bring this program to fruition. Now, when we talk about why spirituality for the modern mind, spirituality for the modern world, this balance. How do we balance? Because so many people say, well, it's one thing to be spiritual, but I gotta live in the world. What about living in the world? What about my school, my job, my relationships, my friends, my fun? What about all of that? Now, one of the things that we're taught in the education system here in America is to ask a lot of questions. And it's great. It turns us into question askers. Now, there's something very beautiful about the tradition in India where we just do that which our parents and grandparents have told us. You would never dream of asking why. They said so, so we do it. Kyun puchna hai? Why ask? If my grandmother said, if my mother said, if my father said, if this is what they're doing, this is what we should do. And yet, now here in this country with so many generations going through an education system that teaches us to ask questions, which I love, we end up being able to dive into a depth of spirituality that comes actually from having the answers to the questions, which I think is actually a lot stronger than a depth that comes just because somebody said to do it. So what are the questions? Well, we ask, what even is spirituality? Does it mean just we come to the mandir, we come to the temple, we do our pujas, we do our worship, we chant our mantra? What even is spirituality? And then we ask, why? Like, why bother? Why do I need it? If I've got a good life and a happy life, why do I need it? And then if I do want it, how? If I'm not going to move to Rishikesh, and I'm not going to live in a cave, and I'm not going to become a monastic renunciant, and I'm not going to spend all day long meditating, and I'm not going to give up going to the movies, or doing this, or doing that, how do we even have spirituality? What does it even look like in my life? So I thought, let's start here where the questions are. And we'll talk some about this, the what and the why and the how. And then we'll open it up to any questions that any of you have. The what of spirituality is really interesting because a lot of people have a lot of baggage around it. There's a lot of drama, a lot of baggage around religion and spirituality. Oh, it means this. Oh, it means I have to do that. Oh, it means you can't do this. Oh, it means that. Spirituality literally means pertaining to spirit, of spirit. Meaning, there's two ways to look at the world. The materialistic perspective, which says we are matter, I am matter. What I weigh, my height, my mass, my density, my color, this is who I am. And this is where I end, right here. And then there's this empty space. And then you begin over there, and that's who you are. Your size, your shape, your density, your color. And then there's empty space, and then you begin over there. That's the materialistic way of looking at things. We are matter, we are individual, there is space between us. Spirituality says, you have a body, but you're not the body. You are the spirit. And that same spirit that runs through you runs through me, meaning there is no place I end and you begin. There is no space between us. That's an illusion. I don't end here. That's just because my eyes are not good enough to see that I'm actually energy. Put me under an electron microscope, and what are you going to see? Whirling energy. fine line, our eyes just can't see it. So spirituality says you are spirit. You are not separate from each other. You're not separate from the divine. For me in my life, I literally have started calling this, we launched my memoir here 2 years ago, Hollywood to the Himalayas. And the memoir describes my physical journey of my body, quite literally, as Vikram Bhai was giving in the introduction, from Hollywood, from LA, to the Himalayas 27 years ago almost. And that's a fascinating story, an amazing story. And yet, you don't all have to go from Hollywood to the Himalayas to have that experience, to have the healing, to have the transformation, to have the freedom, to find the joy. What you have to do, and this is that material to spiritual, what is spirituality, is shift in the mind from what I call the Hollywood way of thinking, which says you are a body. You are what you look like. You are your history, where you've been. You are your bank account. You are your age. You are your relationships. You are your drama. This physical body and everything about it, that is who you are. And so we suffer. We suffer because as we live in this body and we live in our stories, we don't feel like we're enough. We're not successful enough, or beautiful enough, or happy enough, or popular enough. We suffer competition, comparison, all the time. The Himalayan way of thinking says it's the spiritual way of thinking, not the material way. It says you have a body, but you're not the body. You are the spirit. You are the soul. You are the essence. And that's where suffering ends. So spirituality does not mean you have to perform a certain type of ritual. It doesn't mean you have to chant a certain mantra. It doesn't mean that you have to worship God in one way or by one name. It literally means that you make a commitment to focusing on spirit rather than matter. Matter's good. It's nice to have a chair to sit in. It's nice to have eyes to be able to see the chairs so that we don't trip all over them when we walk out. It's nice to be aware of the body, aware of each other's body, aware of things in our space. But we don't identify as them. And it's a commitment to see yourself and to see others as spirit, meaning divinity, meaning not separate from you, one with you, whatever the package may be. And then we shift into the why of spirituality. Okay, so that's the what. Well, then why? Like, why does it matter? Okay, so I see myself as a body, so what? Why does it matter? There's no rule that you have to. I'm not the spiritual police. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, you must. But what I will tell you is, if what you are looking for is to become free from depression, anxiety, that sense that so many of us have where we go up and down, our friends are nice to us, so we're happy. They're not nice to us, so we're not happy. We get a good grade on an exam, or we get a promotion at work, or we get appreciated by a loved one, and we're happy. We don't get the grade we wanted, we don't get the promotion we wanted, we don't get the appreciation we wanted, so we're not happy. This constant up and down. If you want to be able to really tune in and tap in to your talents, your abilities, your internal gifts that you individually have to give the world. If you want to be stress-free, if you want to be able to live in peace, as Puja Swamiji always says, to live in peace, not pieces. If you want all of that, that's the why of spirituality. If you're wondering the why, that's the why. On the deepest, highest level, the why, of course, is so that you know the truth of who you are. So that you connect with that divine within the self. But for a lot of us, when we're young, that's not really what's on our mind. If you say, all right, what's your greatest concern? Very few will say, to really know the deep truth of myself. And that's not only when we're young, by the way. That's for so many of us. Living in the world, juggling so many different responsibilities and difficulties and trials and tribulations. For so many of us, it's just about, can I get through the day? Happily, peacefully, without getting angry, without needing alcohol, without needing drugs, without yelling at someone, without feeling like I want to die, without whatever it may be. Can I just find joy and peace and meaning and fulfillment? Can I find freedom from my stress? Freedom from my depression, freedom from this anxiety, freedom from feeling so sensitive to what everybody else is saying or doing. Freedom from needing constant reinforcement and appreciation and approval. Like, oh my God, you didn't say I love you today, right? You know, can we find freedom from needing that constant reassurance that we deserve to occupy our place on planet Earth? Spirituality is the key. I'll do my favorite demonstration of this. Okay, so you can all see this video camera in the middle of the room? Good. So those of you on this side of the video camera, you're group A. If you're group A, raise your hand. Good. This side of the video camera, you're group B. If you're group B, raise your hand. Great. Okay. So group A, your job is to chant Om. Okay? So on the count of 3, let's hear you practice. 1, 2, 3. Everybody has to chant. Can't hear you all. Great. Group B, your job is to make as much ruckus, as much noise as you possibly can. Now, people always think I'm joking. I'm not actually joking. I'm really serious. As much noise as you possibly can. Clap your hands, stand your feet, whistle, whatever it may be. But your job on the count of 3 is to make as much noise as you can. 1, 2, 3. Great. Now, here's our demonstration. If I raise my hand on your side of the room, it means your side needs to do its thing. So if I raise my hand over here, what are you going to do? And if I raise it over here? Great. So we're going to begin together. And then if I lower my hand on your side of the room, it means you stop. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, all together. start chanting Om when these guys stopped making noise, or were you actually chanting it the whole time? Could anybody hear them? Anybody? No, nor could I. I love this demonstration because this is what we're looking for in life. This is what we call peace, divine connection, grounding, anchoring, centering, a spiritual life. We're living in a home. But what most of us do is we want to figure out how to somehow go out somewhere and get it. What can I buy, do, achieve, attain, learn, so that somehow this will come into my life? The problem is, as long as you've got this going on, it doesn't matter how many of you we have over here chanting Om, if these guys are making ruckus, we're not going to hear it. The key to having this in your life is to quiet the ruckus. The Om is already there. It's there. It is who you are. As you said, it was there from the beginning. We don't have to get it from outside. It's there. The problem is that this is what goes on in most of our minds. You're not enough. You're stupid. He's stupid. This whole thing is stupid. I can't believe I did this. What if that happens? What if this doesn't happen? Oh my God. This is the constant noise in our mind. Nobody likes me. People think I'm stupid. I should have made a different decision. I've ruined my life. I've made the wrong decision. This guy's going to ruin my life. Wherever we go, it's a constant nonsense in our minds. So the why of spirituality is it enables this to become quiet so that we can live in this experience of and actually have that. And then we shift into the how. So, okay. Everybody want this? Yes. Yeah? It's what we want. It's why we pray. It's why we do everything. Somehow I should find that home in my life. So then comes the how. And what I'm going to do for the how is I'll give it to you in a way that's easy for you to remember. The title of this talk that had been given was Next Gen Nirvana. So, heaven, moksha, freedom, nirvana, liberation, whatever word you use. For those of us, regardless of how old we are, but who A, identify as young on the inside, and B, who are living in this world, living in this modern, technological, American, Western world. So I'll give it to you with the acronym of Nirvana. So all you have to remember is Nirvana. Now, the N of Nirvana stands for Niti Niti. There's a very, very powerful meditative practice called Niti Niti. And the practice says, not this, not that. And it's a practice that you can do every day. You can do once a week. You can do every hour. You can do it all day long. You can do it with your eyes closed. You can do it with your eyes open. You can do it while your boss is yelling at you. You can do it while anything is going on. I would recommend beginning it in the eyes closed, seated posture because it enables it to go more deeply inside, but then carry it with you through the day. And we begin really by saying, I'm not the clothes I'm wearing. Okay, that's obvious. We all take off our clothes, we take a shower. We don't stop being us because we're naked. We're still us. Clothes on, clothes off, clothes on, clothes off. We're still us. You're not any less you in the shower naked than you are when you're dressed. So I'm not my clothes. I'm not my skin. Again, we know that. Our skin is constantly sloughing off. We get sunburned, we peel. We don't lose our sense of self. And you go deeper and deeper. I'm not the blood beneath the skin. I'm not the muscles. I'm not the bones. I'm not the organs. Piece by piece of the physical body. Not this. Not that. Not this. Not that. And you do it after each one. You make sure that in your own mind you get a yes. So it's not just that you're saying it because I've told you to say it. So with each one, your own sense goes, yeah. Like, I know I'm not my skin. I know I'm not my blood. I donate blood. I'm not any less of myself after you've donated blood or had blood taken to be tested. Even people who get blood transfusions are not any less of themselves. You know you're not your organs. I had my appendix out, I'm not any less of myself. People donate a kidney, they get a kidney, they have a liver transplant. They're not less of themselves, they have a gallbladder removed. You don't lose yourself. And then you start to get more subtle. And you say, I am not the chemistry and the electricity in my brain. Well, all right, we know that. Like, I'm not serotonin, I'm not norepinephrine, I'm not dopamine. Okay, obviously. Those are just chemicals in my brain. Well, I'm not the electricity that runs down the neuron, causing the vesicles to release these neurotransmitters into the brain. Obviously, I know I'm not an electrical signal. Well, if you're not the chemistry and you're not the electricity, it means you're not your thoughts. It means you're not your emotions. It means you're not your memory. Every aspect of an emotional state, a feeling state, a thought, a memory, a personality, it all exists 100% in the chemistry and the electricity, in the gray and white matter of our brain. So as you do this neaty, and you say, not this, not that, we know, okay, I'm not my thoughts then. Not my memory, not my personality, not this, not that. And you just, piece by piece, not this, not this. And you finally hit a place in which there's nothing left to say you are not that. And it's a place that, as Hindus, we tend to refer to it as everythingness, punyana. The Buddhists tend to refer to it as nothingness, shunya. But it's the same place. And you can do that during your day. If someone is saying to you, you are stupid, you are worthless, you are this, you are that, most of us take it in, oh my God, I am. But just say to yourself, not this, not this, not this, not that person's projection, not that person's issue, not the chemistry and electricity in their brain. If I'm not the chemistry and electricity in my brain, I'm certainly not the chemistry and electricity in somebody else's brain. I'm not the words coming out of their mouth. I'm not the blood rushing to their face. I am not that. When you walk by a mirror or your reflection somewhere and you see the body, whether you look at it and you say, ah, beautiful, so good I'm looking. Or whether you look at it and you say, oh my God, I'm so fat, or I'm so skinny, or I'm so this. Either way, remind yourself, neti neti, not this, not this, not the body, not the body. When you get a raise, when you get a promotion, when you get fired. So in both the positive and the negative, remind yourself. Maybe we get a promotion. Oh, I'm the smartest, I'm the best, I'm so good, that's why I got it. But then of course when you don't get it, you feel like, oh my God, I'm the worst, that's why I didn't get it. In both cases, not this, not this, not this, not this, neti neti. So that's the N of Nirvana. The I stands for I focus, I focus, I focus. And the reason that is so important these days is we are living in a world of distraction. And not only is distraction the enemy of spirituality, as anybody who's tried to meditate knows, we sit down to meditate, the mind wanders, you're distracted. But it's not only the enemy of your meditation practice, it's actually the enemy of anything you want to achieve that's meaningful in your life. Whether you are reading or writing a book, a scripture, a song, a poem, whether you are having a deep conversation with someone, whether you are working on a project that's meaningful to you, whatever you are doing, distraction is that which prevents you from doing it in a meaningful way. And yet, it has become our way of being. Every moment, think about how many of your conversations these days happen where you're talking to somebody and one of the people is constantly like, yeah, I'm listening. It's become normal. We're used to talking out of the tops of people's heads because they're like this. We've become so distracted. You're talking to somebody, you're doing something every minute. It beeps, it rings, and this is just a microphone, but imagine that this were an actual phone. It beeps, it rings, it buzzes, it vibrates. You get a notification, constantly our attention goes there. And not only is it incredibly rude to your friend, to your loved one, to your children, who feel like they're not nearly as important as whatever's just shown up on mom or dad's WhatsApp. The kids are trying to tell us something, and every time you see a notification, you look at it. But it actually does something even worse to us. It's ruining our minds. I read an amazing study recently that I love. I've been sharing it everywhere. Gets an average of 3 minutes at a time to be working without being distracted. 3 minutes. That's all they get. Now, that was part one of the study. The second part of the study really shook me. During the course of 1 hour, imagine you are working for 1 hour in the average workplace. Every 3 minutes you are interrupted. Your phone rings, some email pops up, some notification, someone yells over your cubicle at you, whatever it may be. During the course of 1 hour, your IQ drops 10 points. Literally, they studied this. Tested people at the beginning of the hour and the end of the hour. You are 10 IQ points stupider at the end of the hour than you were at the beginning of the hour. Now here's where the study got even worse. If you didn't work and you simply sat at your desk and you smoked marijuana for an hour, you took drugs for an hour, at the end of that hour, your IQ would have dropped 5 points. I mean, we know drugs make us stupider. That's not a new piece of information. We know that. It's why we don't do it. It's why we tell our kids not to do it. It ruins your brain. But look at this. Our current way of working is making us twice as stupider by the hour. Twice as stupid by the hour. As if you literally just sat at your desk and took drugs. Now I tell you this because we all have things we want to achieve. A goal, a project, a vision, a dream, a piece of music, a piece of art, a poem, a book, a conversation with a loved one. Whatever it is that we are looking to achieve. Obviously, when we're talking about our spiritual practice, our meditation, our scriptural reading, by allowing ourselves to be distracted all day long, we are becoming stupider, less cognitively able day by day, in a situation that is actually worse than if we were taking drugs. It's that bad. So whatever your goal is, I focus. Now that doesn't mean you can't use your phone, use it, but use it consciously. So whether you decide you're going to check it once an hour, once every 2 hours, once every half hour, whatever it is, do it consciously. It's not that it sits there by you as you do something, and it's the one in charge. Give it a home, keep it someplace. Use your ability to turn off notifications. Allow yourself to regain a sense and an ability of focus. So N for Neti, I for I focus. R means reconnect, and it's the opposite of this constant distraction. Unplug and reconnect. And that unplug may only be for an hour or two. I know a lot of people don't live lives where you can unplug for days at a time. That's okay. But just make a conscious decision that there will be times in which you are simply in the present moment. Whether it's your meditation, it's your prayer, it's your puja, it's your reading, it's your conversation with your children. It's your walk in nature. You know, Stanford University did a study that showed that being in nature lowers depression. Suffering from depression? Get out in nature. Unplug and reconnect. Be in the trees. Be in that beautiful natural world. So the R is reconnect. And then V stands for veer straight. Usually we say veer right or veer left, but V is veer straight, meaning be very focused about what your goals are. What are your goals? What direction are you going? Because there's so much pull on us from so many places in the world. Do this, do that, go here, drink this, smoke that, buy this. Whatever it may be, click here. If we're not focused of exactly where we know we are going, what destination do we want to end up at? On both a spiritual level, an emotional level, a life path level, and you know you're going to drive to Manav Seva Mandir. And along the way, you see every billboard, and every single billboard you pull up, oh, a McDonald's. Oh, a gas station, even though I don't need gas. Okay, shopping center. You'd never make it here. And that's how so many of us live our lives. All of that pressure from all of those around us, from advertisements, from media, from pressure of friends, from pressure of culture, pressure of society. So veer straight. Stay very focused. Where am I going? And is this action or this thought going to take me there or not? And if not, don't do it. Stay focused. And then the A stands for altruism. Now, altruism means giving to others, helping others. They did a great study where they took students, graduate students, smart kids, successful kids, and they divided the class in half. And half of the kids, they gave them all money, $50 or something. And they said to half of the kids, you need to spend this $50 on yourself. You can do anything you want. Buy yourself something, go to the amusement park, go to the movies, eat something, whatever you want. But you must spend this money on yourself. And the other half, they said, you cannot spend even 1 penny of this on yourself. You must spend it on someone else. And then they called all the kids back. And what they found was, those who had spent their $50 on others were so much happier. They had had such a better day. Most of us think, oh my God, $50 free to do whatever I want? That would be great. I'd love it. I'd buy this, I'd go here, I'd have that, right? Like, I want a small lottery. But the truth is, because this study has been now replicated over and over and over again, not only in universities, but in so many communities, so many institutions. Those who spend the money and the day giving to others end up so much happier, and that happiness lasts so much longer than those who spend the money on themselves. So A is for altruism. You know, in Hindi we talk a lot about bade aadmi, big man, bade aadmi, bahut bada aadmi hai. Means a very big man. But we usually use it to mean like a very rich man. A very financially successful man. So with the bahut bade aadmi, like he's a really, powerful, wealthy guy. But remember, the greatness and the bigness of a man or a woman is not actually about how tall they stand, but actually about how low they bend to help up other people. And so that altruism, it's really about how much can you help and serve others. And then N is no anger or grudges. No anger or grudges. And I don't mean that we deny or repress or suppress or bypass it, but we just let it go. We let it go. There's a great saying that holding a grudge is like drinking poison but expecting the other guy to die. The poison's killing me. I'm the one. So we let go of the anger. We realize that whatever somebody's karmic due is, they're going to get it. We're not the karmic police. We don't have to hold a grudge so the universe remembers to punish that guy. The law of karma works works in its own way. But our anger and our grudges hurt us. They steal our lives, quite literally. They steal our mind, they steal our thoughts, they steal our heart, they steal our freedom. And so let go. Let go of that which you're holding on to from the past. And make a rule from now on, no anger or grudges. If you find that anger coming, let it go. Again, we're not talking repression. We're not talking pretending it's not there. But literally just, let it go. Hug a tree, flail your arms, do whatever you need to do. Literally, get it out into the universe. Take a shower. Do something that literally, physically, physiologically makes you know I am now out of me. I'm free from that. And then lastly, then we'll have time for questions before I end. Lastly, the last A stands for authentic self. Authenticity. If you can't live in your authenticity, you're not sharing the greatest gift of who you are with the world, which means that you're not fulfilling your Dharma. Dharma is this very big concept in Hinduism and in Buddhism as well. It's a core concept, it's a tenet of how we live. We live according to Dharma. But there's two types of Dharma. And one is what you can think of as universal Dharma, which is be nonviolent, be compassionate, be generous, have integrity, right? These good qualities. But then there's individual Dharma. We all have different Dharma. We have different purposes. We're here to express and manifest God's grace and God's presence in different ways. Like a flower garden manifests that presence in different ways, like a fruit orchard manifests in different ways. We are here to manifest in different ways. So when we talk about authenticity and your authentic self, it means live your Dharma. Don't look at somebody else and try to live their Dharma. Don't expect them to live yours. And don't hide yourself or feel like somehow you have to be like someone else. I can make you one promise. There is no one who has ever come onto earth whose Dharma is to keep the neighbors happy. So many of us worry and we lose so much of our lives. Oh my God, samne wale kya sochenge? What are people going to think? What are the neighbors going to think? And we lose our lives because we don't live authentically. We're living according to wolo kya sochenge. What are they going to think? What are they doing? And so we lose. So the last aspect of this how of the spiritual life is authenticity. Embrace your authentic self, your path, your Dharma, your gifts, your light. That's your gift to the world. And then regardless of how you pray, when you pray, by what language you pray, what name you pray, you'll be bringing that spirituality into every minute of your lives, regardless of what your office place may be, your work. Then that spirituality literally flows through you, whatever you are doing. And ultimately that's the goal, that's the key.
Jai Shri Krishna Sadhviji, thank you so much for that beautiful divine satsang.
We do have some questions from the audience, and the first one is actually about interfaith marriages and spirituality. So, with interfaith marriages becoming more common in today's world, how can an interfaith couple teach their children about spirituality while still maintaining their faith?
So remember that I said that spirituality isn't based on how you pray or what name you use or what language you use or what form you use. So in an interfaith marriage, you actually have this beautiful opportunity to share with your children, look, I'm Hindu, and so to me I pray. I pray to Bhagavan Krishna. And here's the language I pray in, and here are some of the prayers that I do, and here's what they mean, and here's the scripture that I read, and here's the lessons that I get. And here your father is of a different religion, and your father prays to God in a different way, in a different language, and with teachings from a different book. But as long as the parents are connected spiritually, then they're going to be able to give their children that beautiful awareness that, look, whether you say Krishna, whether you say Christ, as long as we are connecting and we understand that this is the supreme reality, with infinite names, infinite forms. I mean, in the Bhagavad Gita itself, Lord Krishna says, I appear to the devotee, however the devotee worships me. By whatever way the devotee worships me, I appear to the devotee in that form. So we've been given it in our scriptures. I appear to the devotee, however the devotee worships me. So what's important is that we stay focused on oneness and spirit that flows through all. And whatever name or form or language we use, no problem. But I'd say make sure to actually, you don't want to go non-religious because you've got two religions. Give them both. Here's how we do it. Bring them to the mandir, give them the teachings. And then give them also the teachings of the other religion as well. Let them be religion-full rather than religionless. A lot of times it's so easy to just say, well, we have two different religions, so we're going to go religionless. Go religion-full. Give them both.
We have to be very conscious about positive changes we want to execute, but we are never always conscious. Muscle memory always takes over, and autopilot takes over, and by the time we realize it's too late. How should we proceed?
So, this is a bit of a cop-out. Meaning, yes, we have habits, but to say that I make a commitment, for example, let's say, that I'm not going to smoke, or I'm not going to drink, or I'm not going to raise my hand and hit my wife or my husband or my child. And then to say, well, I wanted not to, but the muscle memory was so much that, before I even knew it, my hands were just smoking the cigarette and I had nothing to do about it. That feels to me like a cop-out. Now, habits are very powerful. I know that. But don't convince yourself that it's just muscle memory that has somehow opened the package of cigarettes and pulled it out or raised your hand and hit the one you love. No. This is why we have what we call buddhi, intellect, shuddhi, our purity. And we have free will. We are not robots. Yes, we have habits, but you created the habit. You can uncreate the habit. Dealing with addiction is very difficult. Not to make it light, it is not easy, especially when you're dealing with substances. But it absolutely can be done. Absolutely it can be done. This is not muscle memory. Muscle memory is what enables you to play a piano piece that you've played 1,000 times without thinking about it. Muscle memory is what enables you to drive from the office to the house while you're on the telephone, and then you'll arrive at the house and you don't even remember making the turns because you were so busy on the phone. It's not a very safe way to drive, I don't recommend it, but the point is, you get home because your muscle memory remembers how to do that. But do not blame it for the cigarette, for the alcohol, for the beating, for the whatever it may be. Use the power of your mind to change that habit. And there's all sorts of tools and techniques. One of my favorite, it's so easy, is you just take a little thin rubber band and you put the rubber band on your wrist. Now this part of your wrist is very, very sensitive. It's very sensitive. And if you fling the rubber band against this part of your wrist, it really hurts. Every time you find yourself doing whatever you said you don't want to do, whatever habit it is, something small, something big, you fling that rubber band. And slowly what happens is the mind starts identifying, let's say it's cigarettes, the mind starts identifying pulling that cigarette out with this very painful experience. And the minute the mind now starts to think about a cigarette, immediately it goes, ow, ow. And you can use it even for things like gossiping, like being negative, like being judgmental. All of the other insidious habits that fill our minds and our lives and keep us off our spiritual path. Every time you find yourself saying something negative about someone, and you'll see how quickly you stop. Other ways are financial. Keep a glass jar or any kind of jar and make a commitment that every time you smoke a cigarette, have the alcohol, raise your hand, gossip, whatever it may be, you are going to put a certain amount of money into that piggy bank. And it should be enough to hurt. Right? I mean, if you're a multi-millionaire, don't make it $5. If you're a student, $5 might do the trick. It should be enough to hurt. And then that money must be donated to some organization that you don't actually believe in. Right? So, for example, if you're very staunch to one political party, you must donate all of that money to the other political party. Or if you're very staunch in believing one thing, you must donate the money to the other people. So not only are you losing the money, but you know it's going somewhere that is exactly opposite of what you believe in. And you'll start to see how quickly you start to break habits. And that's the thing with habits. They're just habits. There's impressions on our psyche. Make new ones. But don't blame your muscle memory.
Can you explain the significance of touching the feet of our elders and why it's common practice in Indian culture?
So why do we touch the feet? Well, it's not only of our elders. We bow. So there's two aspects. One aspect is the feet themselves, and that's because it's believed that the feet actually carry a great Shakti. It's why we touch the feet of the Guru. It's why we touch the feet of God. There's an energetic transmission that comes from the feet. And so we touch the feet for those blessings from our elders, from the Gurus, from God, of course, in the Mandir. But there's another another part to it as well, which is the aspect of bowing, because of course, in order to touch the feet, you have to bow. And that bowing reminds us to bow. It keeps us humble. Puja Swamiji says, Jukta to wohe, jisme jaan hota hai, akar to murde, pehchan hota hai. Meaning, the one who bends is the one who is alive. The distinguishing characteristic of a corpse is it doesn't bend. And so if you want to stay alive, not just in the body, but internally, energetically, emotionally, spiritually, you better bow. Otherwise, you're no better than a corpse. If you can't bow, you're no better than a corpse. If you're that rigid, that stubborn, that egotistical, it means you're not really living. Yeah, there may be blood in your veins and breath in your lungs, but you're not actually alive. So we bow. We bow and we bow. We bow to our elders to remind us, oh, you are the ones who have come before. You are the ones with the wisdom. We bow to our parents and our grandparents. You're the ones who have given me life, physical life, spiritual life. Everything I am is because of you. You've given me these blessings, this wisdom, this guidance, everything, your love. So we bow out of humility, out of love. That bowing that we do to them, that we do to the Guru, that we do in the Mandir, reminds us in our lives as we move through our lives to keep bowing, keep bowing. You know, traditionally, when you say namaste, it's supposed to be said with a bow. You know, these days, oh, namaste, 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 namaste. But that's not actually how it's meant to be done. Namaste literally means that divinity in me recognizes and bows to the divinity in you. It was meant to be a bow. So it keeps us very humble. The more you bow, the better you are.
Question is, if we follow not this, not that, how do we decide or inspire ourselves to set higher goals to achieve material things in the world? Don't we become passive by letting go all external material things?
Great. So this is the perennial question of, wouldn't enlightenment make you lazy? Or wouldn't a spiritual path make you just so complacent that you wouldn't care? Not at all. And again, this is where I go back, for me, to my favorite scripture, which is the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is this core scriptural tenet, giving us all of the lessons. And by the way, it's not only for Hindus. There's so many stories of great philosophers of every religion turning to the Bhagavad Gita. There's nothing in it that says worship like this, pray like that, chant this mantra, do this puja. No. But what it teaches us is stand up and do your Dharma. It's the core teaching of the exact antithesis of not being inspired. The problem, though, as you say, as the questioner asks, how can we be motivated to work for material things? Well, that's a fire that burns out really quickly, whether you're deeply spiritual or not. Because the more you acquire, the more you realize my happiness is not in this. It's why rates of depression and rates of anxiety, rates of suicide, rates of so much go up and up and up, not only amongst poor people who you would think and understand, my God, they must be anxious and depressed, but actually amongst very well-to-do people. Because we think, oh, once I get this, then I will be happy. And then we get it, but we're still not happy. Or maybe we're happy for 10 minutes, but then the happiness wears off. And then we think, oh, well, if I just get that, then I'll be happy. We get that, and maybe we're happy for 15 minutes. And then it wears out. And eventually you realize, oh my God, this doesn't bring happiness. I mean, that's what I had seen. I wasn't yet at the completely despondent state. I was only 25. But I had already noticed that all of these people I knew who had everything and had achieved everything were actually so much less happy than the people I was meeting in India who had nothing but were so happy. So don't work for material things, because all that's going to do is actually make you unhappy. Every time you tell yourself, if I just had that flat screen TV, then I would be so happy. If I just had a bigger flat screen TV, then I would be really happy. Oh God, his whole wall is a flat screen TV. If I had the whole wall as a flat screen TV, well, I still have to sit up to look at it. What if I had it on my ceiling? Then I could lie on my bed and watch it. I mean, there's no end. And there you are, lying on your bed, looking up at a flat screen TV, still miserable. So don't try to be inspired to work for material things, because it's not actually a good long-term path. Be inspired to work to give your gifts to the world. Be inspired to work to bring to this planet Earth that which you are uniquely qualified to do. And if along the way, what you are uniquely qualified to do turns out not to actually be lucrative, not to actually bring in money, that's okay. Not all of our dharmas are something that pay the bill. And that's where you end up with people who are artists or musicians or poets or gardeners or whatever they may be. And simultaneously, they are waiters or waitresses or lawyers or clerks or this or that to do something that pays the bills, so that there's food on the table. Because they also have a dharma to feed the family. Take care of the kids, take care of their parents, whatever it may be. So work, though, with a clear goal in mind of not what you're going to buy, but what is that which you're going to fulfill through this? What are you bringing to the world? And it may be something as simple as clothes for my kids, schooling for my kids, medicine for my parents. Or it may be something much more. Through this, I am bringing my gifts to the world. I am helping, I'm healing, I'm serving, I'm teaching. But work with that goal. Let the material stuff become a byproduct. Otherwise, the quest is just endless.
Sadhviji's books and her social media cards actually on that table to your left. And Sadhviji does do satsangs every night, which are live streamed and shared on her social media and YouTube. And all that information can be found on the table to your left. So, and this satsang was recorded. I know someone has asked that as well, and can be found live on her YouTube channel. So the last question of the night is, how do you know what your Dharma is?
How do you know what your Dharma is? So remember a few minutes ago I was talking about two types of Dharma. One is our universal Dharma. This is what you can think of as the 10 Commandments type of Dharma. Don't kill, don't steal, be a good person, be generous, have compassion, care for others, don't lie, don't steal, have integrity, serve others. In general, be a good person. That's the universal Dharma. And we all could really agree on, I mean, we won't do it, but if we did, I'm sure, even amongst all of us coming from so many different backgrounds, we could agree on what are those things. Be loyal, Be caring, be truthful, be nonviolent, be generous, be compassionate, be mindful. But then we talk about individual Dharma. And this is really important. Now, we don't only have one Dharma, because we also get stuck thinking that I've only got one purpose on earth, and oh my God, if I don't figure out what it is, my whole life is going to be ruined. Well, most of us have a lot of different dharmas. We have a dharma as a child to our parents. We have a dharma as a parent to our children. We have dharma as husband to wife, as wife to husband, as siblings, as friends. We have a dharma as citizens of a country. So we have a lot of different dharma in our life that manifests at different times of our lives. So there's certain times that certain dharmas are much more important. So, we also talk throughout life about the phases, the ashrams. So brahmacharya ashram, the first phase of life. What's your dharma at that time? Study. Study, study, study. Study in school, study scripture, study life, study yourself. Then we have our grihastha ashram phase. What's your dharma? Be a good husband, be a good wife, be a good mother, be a good father. Give back to the community. Serve in some way, earn your livelihood with honesty and integrity, but sincerity and tenacity. And then we move into vanprastha and sannyasa ashram phases of life, where the dharma becomes much more to our own internal spiritual work, to our own internal opening and flowering and depth of our understanding. When we talk about the golden years, it's a different dharma than we have when we're students. Same human being, same life, but different phases and therefore different dharma. We have a different dharma to our children when they're young and we're in our 20s or 30s than when they're in their 30s or 40s and we're in our 70s and 80s. But then, in addition to all of that, we all have this internal unique aspects of our Dharma. And it's not always so cut and dry. In the Bhagavad Gita it was very easy. Arjun's Dharma, warrior, restore Dharma, like fight this battle. But for a lot of us, it's not always so easy to figure out exactly what it is, and that's okay. As long as you stay anchored and grounded and open in every moment, and true to yourself, you'll know it. The example that I always give is caterpillars somehow know how to become butterflies. They're never taught, they just know. They climb the tree, they weave cocoons. Millipedes don't, earthworms don't. Somehow the caterpillar knows my Dharma is different than these guys. I don't know how, but it knows. Somehow seeds know how to sprout and become trees. There's a wisdom in the universe. And sometimes trees grow sideways because that's where their light is instead of straight up. How does it know to do that? I don't know. But I love these examples because they remind us there is an intelligence, there is a wisdom. And it's within us as well, which means tune in, tap in, reconnect. But most importantly, listen to it. The dilemma for a lot of us is we hear inner signals, inner callings. Do this, do that, be this, be that, don't do that. And instead of listening, we become like a metaphoric caterpillar who was surrounded by earthworms and therefore didn't actually climb the tree when it heard the voice that said to climb and leave the cocoon, Because the earthworms were all like, no, 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 you're going to fall. We don't climb trees. No, no, stay down here. You're going to look like a fool. Everybody's going to laugh at you. That's not what earthworms do. Your place is here. And so we don't actually fulfill our Dharma because we are so busy worrying. What are the neighbors going to say? It's not what the neighbors did. Oh my God, it's a different decision. It's not what the influencers I follow on social media are doing, or it's not, oh my God. And we get nervous. And we choose to conform to something that isn't us, or we choose to run away from something because we feel like we're not good enough. I couldn't possibly do that. I'm not that important. I'm not that talented. I'm not that qualified. I'm not that worthy. And so we slink back into our very small little corners. So I deeply believe that we all do hear that call at different times in our lives in different ways. And we just have to really have the courage to follow it. So it's not so much about how to know what your Dharma is, but having the courage to listen and follow. To know, hey, I'm a caterpillar, not an earthworm. Or an earthworm, not a caterpillar. There's certainly nothing that's objectively better about a caterpillar than an earthworm, but if you know you're an earthworm, the caterpillar's going up the tree and you know, hey, this is my place, I'm really good here. You go, have a great trip. This is my home, this is my spot. And just to know, internally, Pujya Swamiji speaks about our internal GPS that guides us, but we just have to have the courage to listen.
Thank you, Sadhviji. If we could give her a big round of applause.
Just before we conclude, before I let Priya finish making announcements, I just wanted to say that Pujya Swamiji, who was supposed to be with us tonight and was very much looking forward to being here, is actually, this month right now is a month called Adhik Mas. And it's a very, very sacred month in the Indian tradition. He started a very powerful silent meditation called Anushtan on the first day of Adhik Mas. And he's been in this, and he opens up his silence only for a very, very short time each day to go to the Arati, and then to meet people for a very short period of time. And when I spoke to him during that time, day before yesterday, he said, this power and this depth of this meditation right now, in the rains, in this Adhik Mas, feels like from here, I'm able to bring the blessings and the transformation to people, even more than if I got on the plane and showed up in the body. So he's fully here in spirit and in blessing and in presence and in essence. But physically, he's meditating in silence in the beautiful rainy season on the banks of Mother Ganga, praying for and blessing all of us and all of our families and communities and world. So he's sending all of his deepest love and deepest blessings for us here. And he said, I am there in spirit.